The musical mind. Did music make us human? Have you ever stopped to think about something strange? Every human culture makes music. It doesn't matter if it's an isolated tribe in the Amazon, a Tibetan monk, or a teenager listening to trap alone in his room. Music is always there, like a secret code written deep in the DNA of our species. But here's the mystery. No other species does this. Sure, birds sing, whales make complex sounds, but music, real music, with rhythm, melody, and intentional emotion, that's just us. Only humans. Why? Think about it. Music doesn't help us hunt. It doesn't help us run from predators. It doesn't build shelter or tools. Biologically, it seems useless. And yet, every culture has it. Something doesn't add up. Or maybe something's hidden. What if, just what if, music isn't a pastime? What if it's the very foundation of human consciousness? That's the hypothesis we're exploring today. We'll dive into prehistoric flutes, baby experiments, dancing neurons, ancient rituals, and end with a reflection that might just change the way you hear the world. Because maybe, just maybe, music wasn't made to entertain us. Maybe it was made to transform us. It sounds wild at first, but some of the brightest minds in neuroscience and evolution take this idea seriously. The hypothesis is simple and explosive. Music came before language. Yes, before spoken words, before grammar or syntax. There was sound, beats, rhythms, vocal cadences, emotional chants. Stephen Mithin, archaeologist and author of The Singing Neanderthals, believes early humans, even Neanderthals, used a musical form of communication long before speech. He calls it holistic, multimodal, manipulative, musical, and mimetic. A kind of musical proto-language. Makes sense, right? Have you ever watched a baby communicate? Before they talk, they sing. They scream, they growl, they giggle, they cry in melody. Everything is sound, pure emotion, vibrating out. And when you see a group dancing in sync, doesn't it feel like something deeper is connecting them? Neuroscientist Anirudh Patel studies how music affects the brain. He argues that music may have been crucial for the development of symbolic language. Daniel Levitin, author of This Is Your Brain on Music, goes further. Music is the glue that binds our emotions and memories together. You've heard the stoned ape theory, that humans evolved from eating psychedelic mushrooms, right? But what if it wasn't mushrooms? What if it was rhythm? What if we didn't expand our consciousness through hallucination, but through resonance, group chants, tribal drums, harmonic singing? Maybe we didn't evolve to create music. Maybe music evolved us. Let's talk science. When you hear music, your entire brain lights up. It's not just your auditory cortex, it's deeper than that. Brain scans show music activates more regions of the brain at once than language. Yes, more than reading, more than speaking, more than solving logic puzzles. Your limbic system, the emotional core, lights up like a Christmas tree. Your motor cortex, which controls movement, activates too, even if you're sitting still. Your body gets ready to dance, even if it's just a soft piano melody. And get this, musicians have a thicker corpus callosum, the bridge between the two brain hemispheres. Music literally builds bridges in your brain. Kids who play instruments early in life develop stronger connections across regions of the brain, not just in music, but in memory, coordination, language. Music is like a gym for your brain. Even 6-month-old babies can detect rhythmic patterns. They can recognize changes in melody before they even know words. The brain is born musical. And here's the kicker. Alzheimer's patients who forget their own children's names can still sing songs from their youth. Music survives when memory fades. It stays. Why? Maybe because it's more fundamental than speech. Maybe because it's the brain's true language. Now let's travel back in time. In Hohlefels Cave, Germany, archaeologists found bone flutes over 40,000 years old. Let that sink in. 40,000 years. Before farming, before the wheel, before writing. These prehistoric instruments weren't random. They had carefully spaced holes for specific musical scales. Our ancestors didn't just make noise, they made music. In Africa, ceremonial drums have been used for millennia. In India, Vedic chants follow precise tonal patterns passed down for generations. Among the Mayans, Egyptians, Native Americans, music was central to rituals of birth, healing, and death, always tied to the sacred. Why? Why would such different cultures all link music to transcendence? Maybe because deep down, they knew something we've forgotten. Music is spiritual technology. Before writing, we had songs. Before prayers, we had chants. Before I love you, we danced to each other's heartbeats. Music was our first language. But if music is so old, what was it for? Anthropologist Robin Dunbar believes music was a form of social glue. Before cities, before religion, before formal speech, humans lived in small groups. Group cohesion was survival. In primates, grooming builds bonds. Cleaning fur, touching, staying close. But in large human groups, that's not practical. So, we sang, we clapped, we danced. All of these trigger oxytocin, the bonding hormone. Then comes rhythm, synchrony, repetition. It creates belonging, something that words alone can't explain. Yes, animals make beautiful sounds too. Whales, birds, even insects. But here's the key difference: symbolic intention. Human music has story, emotion, harmony. It's made for someone, with someone. There's also the sexual selection theory. Good musicians were more attractive mates. Even Darwin thought so. And let's be honest, musicians have always had that evolutionary charm. But maybe what started as mating display became communion. What was once ego became soul. Now we enter sacred ground. Music may be the bridge between emotion and consciousness. It needs no translation. It makes us feel. Think of a movie scene that made you cry. Now imagine it with no music. Not so powerful, right? Music delivers the emotion. It hits our reward system, the same one activated by food, sex, and drugs. That's pure auditory pleasure. But it's more than emotion. It's cognitive. It involves expectation, surprise, memory. You wait for the chord to resolve, and when it does, dopamine, a neural orgasm. But what if it's more than pleasure? What if it's transcendence? Think of trance rituals, Tibetan chants, Hindu mantras, Amazonian shamanic songs. Music shifts our mental state. It takes us from me to we. It puts us in flow. Maybe higher consciousness doesn't need substances, just sound. And yet, music is still underestimated. Traditional science sees it as decoration, a bonus, a secondary art. Language? That's important. Math? Sure. Logic? Absolutely. But music, it's just emotion, entertainment. And yet, music came first. So the real question is, why would something that doesn't help us survive feel so essential? Some researchers say it's a byproduct, a side effect of language. But what if it's the other way around? What if language is the byproduct of music? What if symbolic thought began when we started to sing? What if music is the missing link between emotion and abstract thought? What if it was our first spiritual language? Not religion, not rituals, but that unspoken feeling of connection. Music doesn't help us survive. It helps us feel together. It reminds us we're not alone, that something exists beyond ego, beyond time, beyond flesh. When we sing together, dance together, cry to the same melody, something aligns, something resonates. Maybe the whole universe is a song, and we're just notes trying to find harmony. So next time you hear a song, really listen. Maybe it's not just music. Maybe it's an ancient whisper. Maybe it's consciousness remembering itself. Maybe it's the universe trying to tell you a story in rhythm, in harmony, in music.